Now, Coventry City Football Club have revealed plans for a new stadium after leaving the Ricoh Arena. They currently play their home games 35 miles away in Northampton, of course, at Sixfields, and they could do for as long as 5 seasons. Now, these are the artist's impressions of the new ground. It'll be built in phases so that the club can move in as soon as possible, but could be expanded. The initial phase will create a 12,500-seater stadium, which will ultimately rise to 23,000 seats. OK, for more on this, as you can see, we've been joined in the studio by Mark Labovich, a non-executive director at Coventry City. Mark, good afternoon to you. Just first of all, tell us why there is the need for a new stadium if the Ricoh Arena is sitting there and it doesn't have a tenant at the moment.
It's a very good question, but the point is, and I think we spoke about this last time I was with you in the studio here, it's absolutely essential for this club or any other club to own its own stadium to be financially viable in the long term. And we want this club to be solid, financially viable in the long term, as well as playing successfully. So we have to own our own stadium. We've been trying to get the council to agree to sell the Ricoh Arena to the club it was built for at a fair, independent valuation. And there were some encouraging signs. I think when I last spoke over the phone onto the programme, we just had a sign that Anne Lucas, the council leader, was going to come and meet the club's owner and talk about a sale. But I think she changed her mind on the train coming down, so that they are now not willing to talk about a sale, only about a rental deal, which just, obviously, given the recent history, is no way is that going to work. And so we have to build our own. We need to get back to Coventry as soon as possible and own our own stadium.
As it stands, though, the club hasn't announced where this new stadium will be. Why is that?
It's because we narrowed down a number of sites to 2. We're negotiating in parallel with 2, and commercially it would be very unwise to take the risk of just putting all our eggs in one basket and ditching one. As soon as we're able to confirm it's just the one, we will do. But what we want to do, again, is save time. We don't want to stay at Sixfields for a minute longer than we really have to, even though they're very good to us there. It obviously isn't Coventry. So what we're doing is we're getting the design work, as much of the design work done in advance, as much as the preparation for planning permission done in advance. So, for example, there are 2 local authorities involved. They each want an economic impact assessment done to show the benefits that the stadium will bring to the area. Now, one of those may end up unused, but we're getting both done so that when the final site selection and purchase is done, we'll already be having hit the ground running with the design work and the planning.
So obviously there is this sort of ongoing dispute between the club and the city's council. Is it therefore a given that you're going to have to build outside Coventry under a different local authority?
Yes, I don't think they would be particularly helpful to having the club in their jurisdiction. The thing about Coventry is it's a big city in population terms. I think the 7th largest city in England, but it's got a very tight boundary. So you can build a new stadium really not that much further from the city centre or the railway station than the Ricoh Arena is. And at the time, again, a lot of Highfield Road stalwarts thought the Ricoh Arena was far too far away. But you can actually be under the jurisdiction of a different local authority than Coventry City Council.
You've mentioned already about how you were hoping to buy the Ricoh Arena. Is that now completely over? Is there no way that you'll ever go back to the Ricoh?
I mean, I personally never like to say never, but we can't sit and, I suppose, forgive the pun, let the grass grow. We've got to get back to Coventry as quickly as possible. Now, we could sit around waiting for the council, who I think are sort of all over the place on this, to get their act together and come to the right decision. But we just can't take that risk. We've got to get moving.
So are the finances, though, in place, though, if you were to buy the Ricoh, as you suggested?
No, absolutely, the finances are in place, and what we would want to do to buy the Ricoh is the normal way you do a property deal. The buyer and the seller would each get a chartered surveyor to do an independent valuation. That would give you a ballpark in which you could talk. But they don't seem to want to do that. Now, I mean, they have done independent valuations in the past. It looks like they've tried to keep them quiet. The recent court action brought to light one of them. And I think, there are a number of reasons why they don't want to sell. I mean, I would say that the elected councillors in Coventry work very, very hard for their constituents in often what's quite a challenging environment, in a city with a great deal of deprivation and a very tight budget. But the salaried council officers, I think, have misled them. And they sit on the board of ACL, the 2 most senior officers. I think there's a terrible conflict of interest there. And I think that a sale of the Ricoh might bring to light certain financial transactions in the past and the recent past, which they would rather keep covered up. And I would really like it if one of the council officers could come on this programme or on the radio and talk about that with me there, to just let fans know the truth. It doesn't look like it's going to happen, and for that reason I think the officers are preventing a sale going through. So look, we just need to leave that behind and get on with running a football club, and that means owning our own stadium, and if we can't buy the one that's there, we'll build a new one.
OK, we'll try and get a reaction from City Council, but Mark, thank you very much for coming in and speaking to us.
Thank you.